Māori Pacific whanaunga is timeless. In 1840, Te Tiriti o Waitangi was signed. Pacific Empire plans were underway. In 1901, the Cook Islands and Niue came under New Zealand until 1965 and 1974. In 1914, New Zealand took control of Samoa. In 1926, Tokelau would become part of New Zealand and remains a dependent territory. Samoans peacefully fought for our 1962 independence. After 1945, Pacific families filled labour shortages. In 71, societal needs led the Polynesian Panther Party to form. The racist dawn raids took place between 1974 and 1976. In 1982, the court agreed Vaeluaga and many Samoans were New Zealand citizens. Parliament removed the citizenship despite 2 petitions. In 2002, Prime Minister Clark apologised for the New Zealand's injustices to Samoa. In 2004, Parliament rejected a restoring citizenship petition signed by 100,000 people. In 2018, Pauline Vaeluaga Smith published her book Dawn Raids. In March 2020, the Polynesian Panther Party 50th Reunion Committee asked the government for a Dawn Raids apology. In July, the Pacific Leadership Forum took a petition seeking pathways to residency for overstayers.
Over the weekend, the Polynesian Panthers called on the New Zealand government to issue an apology for the dawn raids that occurred almost 50 years ago. We need the Crown to take ownership for its failure of protection and its active use of authority in a way that was discriminatory, has caused intergenerational trauma and has lasting legacy of distrust in government. I'm asking everyone to write to the government, and whether it's by email, whether it's through letter, to Tautoko The Panthers. Panthers have issued the call. Let's back it up and help politicians feel the weight of our words.
Dear Prime Minister.
Dear Jacinda Ardern.
Malo lava right honourable Jacinda.
Dear Prime Minister.
Malo lo malie palemia.
I am writing to support the Polynesian Panthers for an official apology regarding the dawn raids on Polynesian Pacific families in New Zealand from 1974 to 1976.
We are writing to you today to express my support for an official government apology for the dawn raids that occurred in the 1970s. The race-based dawn raids, which occurred less than 50 years ago, were and continue to be a national disgrace to our country. This heinous and racist act was started by the Labour government and perpetrated by the national government, destroying Pacifica families and the Pauline and Radiant Pacifica residents' home.
I wanted to write to you to please ask if you and your ministers have heard the Polynesian Panthers have called for a public apology from the Crown regarding what happened with the dawn raids. We are within 3 years of the 50th anniversary of this event, which destroyed the trust and traumatised many of our elders, ainga, and generations since.
I'm sure you're aware of the organisation, the Polynesian Panthers, and the after effects of what had happened 50 years ago. Dawn raids during the 70s was a traumatic event lasting decades, which as a result has led to generational trauma. These include police bursting into rooms where Polynesian children would be sleeping, shining light on their faces, and asking for ID.
I'm writing to ask that your government provide an apology regarding the dawn raids of our people during the 1970s.
Malo lele, Honourable Prime Minister.
Dear Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern.
Dear Prime Minister.
My name is Selwyn
My name
Gamble.
is Laura Tonalea Nolan.
And I am a 20-year-old Hafakasi
And I'm a
Tongan
first generation New Zealand-born Niuean.
I am a
living in Auckland.
19-year-old Pākehā girl from
I remember the
Christchurch.
first time I heard about
I
the
write
dawn
to
raids
support the
from my
call
drama
issued
teacher.
by the Polynesian Panthers requesting an official apology for the racist dawn
An apology
raids.
is only words and can't repair the relationship between the government and Pacific peoples of Aotearoa.
As we move ever closer to the 50th anniversary, the tragic
Directly
events.
and indirectly by the dawn raids.
I don't want to grow up in an Aotearoa which doesn't take
Ngā mihi,
accountability.
mahalo.
Kia monuina, Laura.
Ngā mihi nui, Mia Sutherland.
We created this petition and 7,366 people signed.
To really bring this into Parliament, with the help of a couple of established platforms, we managed to rake in about 7,000 signatures.
We have Te Pāti Māori's Debbie Ngārewa Paka, who's coming to receive the petition. I think the dawn raids affects Pacific young people and our wider Pacific generation in quite a few ways. But one of them is that some of our families haven't been able to share the story because of the shame or because of the stigma associated with that time.
This is an acknowledgement for the collective effort from not only myself and Josiah, but the big community and voices that really pushed the petition to go forward into Parliament.
events took place almost 50 years ago, the legacy of the Dawn Raids era lives on today in Pacific communities. It remains vividly etched in the memory of those who were directly impacted. It lives on in the disruption of trust and faith in authorities. And it lives on in the unresolved grievances of Pacific communities that these events happened, and that to this day they have gone unaddressed. Today, I stand on behalf of the New Zealand Government to offer a formal and unreserved apology to Pacific communities for the discriminatory implementation of the immigration laws of the 1970s that led to the events of the Dawn Raids.
We give thanks for the youth voice, Josiah Tualamali'i, and Benji Timu, and the hundreds of young people who wrote letters of support for the apology.
But the emotions have flowed out like a stream and has touched every corner of our Pacific diaspora. It has touched also family members who reside in the Pacific region. It has touched Pacific peoples in other parts of the world who all recollect now these stories, many of them still emerging. I want to acknowledge first and foremost why this is an important story, because it's not just a story for Pacific peoples, it is a New Zealand story.
We must look at our migrants today and in the past and say, hang on, we asked them to come. What are we doing? And the answer has to be that we must not repeat the errors of the past. So I am very happy to stand on behalf of the National Party and say, I understand not all New Zealanders are going to understand all of the things that I'm talking about, or because they didn't live in it and they don't understand it because they weren't part of it. But let me just say, it is a wrong thing not to apologise. It's the wrong thing not to accept that wrongs were done, and that we must own those.
The Dawn Raids were about overstayers. Well, we're going through a COVID crisis, and we still have many of our people who have been caught up in the cracks of that. And many of those people also are our essential workers who have carried us through this pandemic. These are more than just workers. They are brothers and sisters and uncles and aunties. They are family. And that's why it is really important for this apology to be truly meaningful, that we have a broad amnesty of program for people who overstay, and also real pathways for residency.
I rise on behalf of the ACT Party in support of the apology to our Pacific communities for the trauma and injustice of the Dawn Raids in the 1970s. The Dawn Raids were the result of state-enforced policies that were violently imposed, undoubtedly racist, and totally unjustified. That era was a terrible example of the power of the state to persecute and to humiliate people who were simply here to answer the call to fill workforce shortages and to strive towards a better life for their families.
To the petitioners and the organisers of this petition, Josiah, Tualamali'i and Benji Timu, who are here today for requesting this special debate take place in the House of Parliament. Thank you for your presence and for carrying the weight of the 7,366 signatures to this whare today.
Ke ilo ia mai. Te eki ke mawhoe ata. O kou a. Ko hoku kau ngā whanonga, ko e whetu pe moe mahina. Nā ku lotu ki he eiki. Ke kau mai e he ku whanonga, pe au hiwai ngā himi ai hūwhanga anga. If only you knew. My companions were the stars and the moon. I found refuge in my prayers to God to keep us safe, and found peace in singing hymns as we leave our homes before dawn. Madam Speaker, those were the words of Ailine Tupou Kanongata, wife of Josiah Riki Riki. They were members of Whakawhiangai Mā Oni Oni Tongan Methodist Church, and we are overstayers from 1971 to 1978. Madam Speaker, they were my parents who are laid to rest at Waikaraka Cemetery in Onehunga, Auckland.
So let it be put on this record of this house. Siva Iloa Emily Mariko was born on the 11th of January 1942. Like other trailblazers, Toisunu Brown, Josiah, Benji, Lucia, Jason.
I stand to lend my voice to the apology for the Dawn raids that so unfairly targeted our Pacifica people's friends, family and brethren.
And to hear from members in this House about what it has meant to them and their families in what is not that long ago is more than distressing. It's something that every single New Zealander should know about, should be concerned about, shouldn't be ashamed of because it's not them that was there, but needs to work hard to make sure that people know about it and that it can never happen again.
I am so proud that this government and our Prime Minister was able to show humility for something that we had not done, but acknowledge the policies on both sides of the House, both parties, that was implemented in that time period. I acknowledge that my extended family who were already here before we had come from Samoa, they had joined the Polynesian Panthers. I acknowledge my uncle and auntie, Reverend Alec Toliafoa, and also Lupe Matasila Mielani Anai. Mr. Speaker, to round up the debates, I am thankful that we had come to this place, that we be able to give the apology, and I thank everyone involved. Fatai love.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those of that opinion will say aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it.
And I would say, listen. Respect their opinions because it's their personal opinion. If they need some direction, well, make yourself open to offer your point of view, but listen to them. And then, you know, either guide them on the path or join them on the path, either way.
There's something that came out of this room almost a year ago was a kōrero from Taurēruera, Ngāta Matoa, who, as he thumped his hand on the table, said, "You don't need permission. You don't need permission. Just speak up. Yeah, we're giving you permission."
Or don't tell them at all and do it anyway.
Sometimes forgiveness is easier than permission.
Yeah. I would support any of my grandchildren if they said, "Nana, you know, this is the situation. What do you think I should do?" I would say, "You have been taught. Your parents have been taught by me. They have taught you things. What do you think is the best thing to do?" And if they struggle a wee bit with that, we could have a bit more of a kōrero. But I would encourage them to stand on their own 2 feet and make a judgment call at that time. But I would not ask them to put themselves into danger. They need to be safe.
I think the advice would be too from us is take the risk, do what you have to do if you've got love in your heart for your people, then take the risk.
No, it was happy memories, yeah. And the first time I saw a big whale was beached on Manukau.